There's something unsettling about perfection. A town too peaceful. A neighbor too friendly. A husband too secretive. At first, she ignored it, the way he lingered at the neighbor's door, the way the neighbor smiled, knowing, triumphant. But then came the note. Just 5 words, hastily scrawled. "He's not who you think." Her pulse pounded. Her world tilted. Who was the warning about? Her husband? The neighbor? Or someone far worse? Something is wrong here. And it's watching. Don't look away. The house was everything they had dreamed of, nestled at the edge of a quiet village, surrounded by towering pines and the kind of silence that felt untouched by time. The air was crisp, the mornings golden with sunlight streaming through the windows. Ivy Quinn stood on the porch, coffee in hand, inhaling the scent of damp earth and pine needles. "This is it," she murmured, turning to Knox, who was leaning against the railing beside her. "The fresh start we wanted." He smiled, that easy, lopsided grin that had made her fall in love with him years ago. No deadlines, no city noise. Just us. And for a while, it was perfect. The villagers were friendly but not intrusive. The kind of people who waved from their porches and left baskets of apples by the door. It was a rhythm Ivy quickly fell into: morning walks by the lake, lazy afternoons reading in the sun, quiet dinners with Knox where they talked about everything and nothing. Then came Lisa and John. They had moved in just a year before Ivy and Knox, settling into the house next door with the same hope for a simpler life. Lisa was warm, lively, the kind of woman who made you feel like you had been friends forever. John was quieter, often away for work, but when he was home, he was friendly, always quick with a joke. "It's nice to have another young couple around," Lisa had said the first night they had dinner together. "Most people here have lived here forever." The 4 of them quickly became inseparable. Weekend barbecues, game nights, long conversations over wine that stretched past midnight. Ivy and Knox had never felt so at peace. So at home. Lisa laughed easily, always full of stories. Knox and John got along effortlessly. It was simple. It was easy. It was everything Ivy had ever wanted. But perfection never lasts. It started small. A text from Lisa asking Knox to fix a leaky faucet. A quick favor to move a heavy box. Little things, things any neighbor would ask. Ivy didn't think much of it. Lisa's alone a lot, she had told herself. It's normal to need help. John's job kept him away for weeks at a time, leaving Lisa in their big, empty house. She had always been friendly, but now, with John gone, she seemed needier. The requests became more frequent. The favors stretched longer. And then, Ivy noticed the change. Lisa started dressing differently, flowy summer dresses that clung to her in just the right places, lipstick a shade darker than usual, hair always styled, even when she was just casually bumping into Knox outside. Her laugh lingered too long, her touch brushed too easily against Knox's arm. "You're imagining it," Ivy told herself. But she wasn't. Knox began spending more time at Lisa's house. At first, it was just quick fixes. Then, it was an hour. Then 2. One evening, Ivy looked up from washing dishes and saw them through Lisa's kitchen window, Lisa standing too close, her fingers grazing Knox's wrist, as she said something that made him chuckle. A tight knot formed in Ivy's stomach. That night, as Knox slid into bed beside her, she asked casually, "What did Lisa need help with today?" "Oh, just a loose cabinet door," he murmured, pressing a kiss to her shoulder before turning off the light. Ivy lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Lisa wasn't just asking for help. She was asking for something else. The night Knox came home late, Ivy was waiting. She sat curled on the couch, pretending to read, though her eyes had drifted from the page long ago. The clock on the wall ticked past 11 when she finally heard the front door creak open. Knox stepped inside, running a hand through his hair, his shirt slightly wrinkled. He looked up and froze when he saw her. "Hey," he said, too casually. "Didn't think you'd still be up." Ivy closed her book slowly. "Where were you?" "Lisa's car wouldn't start. I helped her out." A single beat of silence. Ivy searched his face, looking for something, guilt, hesitation, anything. "That took all night?" she asked, her voice even. "It was more complicated than I thought," Knox said with a shrug, already moving toward the stairs. "Come to bed, Ivy. It's late." But Ivy couldn't sleep. The next morning, she watched from the window as Knox left for work. 10 minutes later, Lisa stepped outside. She wasn't in her usual cozy sweater and leggings. Instead, she wore a sundress that clung to her blonde hair cascading over one shoulder, her lips painted a deep, wine red. And then, the moment that made Ivy's stomach turn, Lisa glanced toward Ivy's house, smiling slightly, before walking back inside. That was when Ivy knew. Lisa wasn't just being friendly. She was playing a game. And Knox. Was he playing too? Ivy needed to be sure. So she started watching. She noticed the way Lisa's gaze lingered on Knox, how her fingers would brush against his arm when she laughed, how she always found an excuse to pull him closer. And Knox. He never pulled away. Not once. One evening, when Knox came home, Ivy was waiting again. But this time, she didn't ask where he had been. She didn't need to. "I need you to stop spending time with Lisa," she said, her voice calm but firm. Knox sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "Ivy, it's not like that." "Then it won't be a problem, will it?" For a moment, he just looked at her, then finally nodded. "All right. I'll keep my distance." Ivy wanted to believe him. But deep down, she knew, whatever this was, it wasn't over. And just like that, Lisa was gone. John returned one evening, his car pulling into the driveway like nothing had changed. But something had. Within days, Lisa packed up and left with him. No drawn-out goodbyes, no lingering glances. Just silence. Ivy watched from the porch as they drove away, the taillights vanishing down the dirt road. A weight lifted from her chest. "It's over," she told herself. The house next door stood empty. The curtains drawn. No more impromptu visits, no more laughter drifting through the thin walls. For the first time in weeks, Ivy slept soundly. Until she found the note. It was late afternoon when she decided to clean out the storage shed, a task she had been putting off for months. Dust swirled in the air as she sorted through old boxes, her fingers brushing against forgotten things. And then, wedged in the narrow gap of the window frame, she saw it. A small, crumpled scrap of paper. Ivy's pulse quickened as she unfolded it, her breath catching at the hurried, uneven scrawl. "He's not who you think, Ivy. Be careful." Her hands trembled. Lisa. It had to be her. But who was she warning Ivy about? Knox? Or John? Ivy's heart pounded in her chest as she reread the words, over and over, the ink smudged where a hand had gripped the page too tightly. A chill crept up her spine. Lisa was gone. But whatever this was, whatever she had tried to warn Ivy about, it wasn't over. The house next door should have been empty. Lisa and John were gone. Their car had vanished, the porch lights remained dark, and yet the upstairs window was open. Ivy stopped mid-step on the gravel path, her breath catching. The curtains shifted slightly, a whisper of movement in the still afternoon air. She stared. Hadn't that window been closed? A cold prickle crawled up her spine, but before she could second-guess herself, her feet were already moving. The front door was unlocked, ajar, even as if someone had left in a hurry. Or hadn't left at all. Ivy hesitated before stepping inside. The air smelled stale, tinged with something faintly metallic. Dust motes floated in the dim light, and the house felt different. Not abandoned. Not quite. Like someone had just been here. She swallowed hard and walked deeper in. The silence pressed against her ears. Then, a soft whisper of paper against wood. Her head snapped toward the kitchen table. A single sheet of paper, drifting as if it had just been placed there. Ivy's heart pounded as she reached for it, her fingers brushing against the rough edges. The handwriting was different from the first note, sharper, more deliberate. And the words. "You think you've won. He's still watching." A chill slithered through her veins. Her gaze darted to the window, the dark hallway, the shadows stretching too long in the corners of the empty house. Who left this? Lisa? John? Or? She turned toward her own house, just visible through the window. A single silhouette stood in the upstairs bedroom. Watching. Ivy's breath hitched. She wasn't alone. And she never had been. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Ivy lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, the words from the note still carved into her thoughts. He's still watching. Outside, the wind howled through the trees, rattling the windows. Knox was beside her, his breathing slow and steady. Asleep. Peaceful. Or pretending to be. Then, the phone rang. The sharp sound sliced through the silence like a knife. Ivy jolted upright, her pulse hammering against her ribs. The screen glowed in the darkness. Unknown number. Her throat went dry. She hesitated, then swiped to answer. Hello. At first, nothing. Just the low hum of static. Then, a voice. Soft. Almost a whisper. Ivy. Don't trust him. The blood in her veins turned to ice. Who is this? She whispered. No answer. Just the sound of shallow breathing. And then, click. The line went dead. Ivy sat frozen, the phone still pressed to her ear, her heart thudding wildly. She turned her head slowly, barely breathing. Knox was still lying beside her. His back to her. His breathing deep. Steady. But was he asleep? Or had he been listening? Sleep didn't come that night. Ivy lay awake, Knox's steady breathing beside her feeling too deliberate, too controlled. The words from the phone call echoed in her skull. Don't trust him. She needed answers. The next morning, while Knox was in the shower, Ivy grabbed her laptop and started searching. Not for Lisa. For Knox. It felt ridiculous at first. Paranoid. But as she typed his name into the search bar, a sickening unease settled in her stomach. Knox Wilder. Pages of normal things popped up, business records, old social media accounts. But then, buried beneath layers of results, something caught her eye. A missing person report. Ivy's breath hitched. She clicked. The article was from 6 years ago. A woman named Eleanor Wilder. His wife. She disappeared without a trace. No signs of foul play, no note left behind. One day, she was just gone. The police had conducted an investigation, but with no leads, the case eventually went cold. The official record stated that she had likely left town voluntarily. Just vanished. Just like Lisa. Just like John. Ivy's hands shook as she scrolled through the report. Eleanor's picture stared back at her, a smiling brunette with soft eyes and a dimple in her left cheek. Eyes that looked eerily like Ivy's own. Her stomach twisted violently. Did Lisa know? Was that why she left? Was that why she warned Ivy? A chilling thought crawled into her mind. If Eleanor was gone? If Lisa was gone? Then who was next? Ivy swallowed hard, forcing herself to breathe. She glanced over her shoulder. Knox was still in the shower. For the first time, she wondered. Had she ever really known the man sleeping beside her? The knock came just past midnight. 3 sharp raps against the door. Urgent. Desperate. Ivy jolted awake, her pulse slamming against her ribs. She sat up, glancing at Knox. He didn't move. His breathing was deep, steady, too steady. Holding her breath, she slipped out of bed, her bare feet silent against the wooden floor. With each step toward the door, dread coiled tighter in her chest. She peeked through the peephole. John. He looked nothing like the man she remembered. His face was gaunt, eyes sunken and wild, his clothes rumpled as if he hadn't slept in days. He kept glancing over his shoulder, his foot tapping anxiously against the porch. Ivy hesitated. Then, slowly, she unlocked the door. John, she whispered. He exhaled sharply, relief flickering in his eyes. Ivy, we need to talk. Now. We don't have much time. She swallowed hard, glancing over her shoulder. Knox was still asleep. Wasn't he? Stepping outside, she pulled the door closed behind her. What's going on? She asked, her voice barely above a breath. John's hands trembled as he ran them through his unkempt hair. Lisa isn't who you think she is. His voice was low, urgent. But, Ivy. Neither is Knox. A chill slithered down her spine. What do you mean? John took a shaky breath. Lisa, she gets obsessed with people. Couples, specifically. She did this before, in another town. She worms her way in, manipulates, controls. I tried to warn you, but he cut himself off, shaking his head. It doesn't matter now. The real problem isn't her. Ivy felt like the ground beneath her was slipping. Then who? She whispered. John's eyes darkened. Knox. Her stomach twisted. You think he's just some poor guy Lisa tried to manipulate? John's voice dropped lower. That's what she thought too. But she didn't realize. Realize what? Ivy's throat was dry. John stepped closer, his voice barely audible now. What he's capable of. He swallowed hard. I saw what he did, Ivy. I know what happened to his wife. The world seemed to tilt. Eleanor. Ivy barely forced the name out. John nodded. She didn't leave town. His voice was raw, filled with something dark. She never left at all. Ivy's breath caught. Behind her, the porch light flickered. And inside the house, something moved. Ivy's mind raced. John stood before her, his eyes wild with urgency. We need to go. Now. Behind her, inside the house, something shifted, a soft creak on the floorboards. Knox was awake. A cold sweat broke over her skin. Her heart pounded like a drum in her chest. She had seconds to decide. Run. Confront. Stay. John said Knox was dangerous. That he had seen what really happened to Eleanor. But John had secrets too. Lisa was obsessed with control. What if this was just another game? And then, a voice, smooth and calm, cut through the night. Leaving so soon. Ivy's breath hitched. Lisa. She stood at the end of the driveway, her blonde hair spilling over her shoulders, her lips curled into something that wasn't quite a smile. She was supposed to be gone. John tensed. "What the hell are you doing here?" he hissed. Lisa's gaze flicked to Ivy. "Oh, sweetheart," she murmured, shaking her head. "You didn't really think I'd leave you alone, did you?" The air felt thick, suffocating. Ivy took a step back. Behind her, the front door creaked open. "Knox." "Ivy." His voice was calm. Too calm. "What's going on?" She was trapped between them now, John, Lisa, Knox. 3 people, 3 different versions of the truth. Don't trust him. The phone call echoed in her mind. But who was the warning about? John? Knox? Lisa? Ivy's breath came in sharp, shallow bursts. She turned toward the house. The door stood open, the darkness inside yawning like a mouth ready to swallow her whole. She turned toward the road. The unknown stretched before her, uncertain but open. She turned toward Lisa. The woman who had left her a warning, yet had returned with a secretive smile. A choice. Stay. Run. Confront. Behind her, footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Coming closer. Ivy's fingers trembled on the doorknob. She had to decide. Before the decision was made for her.